Hey, my name is John Zeller, and I'm a local historian. And I had the privilege on a project that looked into Italian Americans in Des Moines because they were tearing down some houses for this Indianola Road bypass that goes into 3rd Street. And the federal government wanted a study about the houses and the neighborhood that the houses came out of. And this is just absolutely the best thing in the world for me because, well, I've been working on a lot of projects. You know, I went to Italy when I was 21 in college and fell in love with the culture and came back here and ended up working for a whole slew of Italian restaurateurs. And so being able to work on Italian history in Des Moines was probably the most fun project I ever worked on. The reason that I was working on it is I have a hobby of looking at old newspapers. I read these old newspapers, and it allows me to find all sorts of little notices that people have forgotten over the years. So people have disappeared, and their new families come in, and so that very early history in the 1870s and 80s is pretty much unknown. So it was really enjoyable to be able to contribute to the understanding of the Italian American community, whereas the people that have actually Italian families in here, they know the more modern history so much better than anyone else could know it, but they just that early period that an outsider could be of some help, and that's where I kind of fit in, and that was really great. Before they came to America, they were people from a region or a village, and they stuck together. And a lot of these people came from the same villages because the padrone would go back to Italy, to these villages he came from, and bring people from the village, and they would settle together. So whether you're talking about Oline or Des Moines or Chicago or Omaha, you find not just people from, from a region like, Calabria. You'll find people from Terravecchia, Cuculi. They group together, and I think the Italians call that campanilissimo, if I sort of butchered the word, but it means from the sound of your own bell tower. And even in Des Moines, you find a lot of that, where you find these groups get together and they all remember and know each other from back in their own hometown. But even a little bit beyond that is sort of a regionalism that even in Iowa persists. In Southside Des Moines, you have a lot of Calabrese, you have some Sicilians, and so many of them worked later for the railroad and they were brought in together. But then when you get away from the South Side and you look at Madrid and Zugspur and even places as Enterprise and even the Francis Avenue Italians off of Martin Luther King north of here, you still find the Modenese. You find northern Italians that came here for coal mining. And the two groups didn't mix all that well, and one reason why is because when people came over in this earlier period, they didn't really speak Italian. They spoke dialects, and particularly the people that spoke, Calabrese, they couldn't really even understand people from the north of Italy. Certainly America was a land of opportunity. I mean, it was an opportunity for Italians, not just in Des Moines, but anywhere in America, or even South America, in places like Argentina or Australia. There was a lot of immigration in other places for them to escape a system that really had broken down in Italy, that there wasn't any upward mobility at all in Italy at that point, at least in southern Italy. And after the Second World War, you see in Italy this huge migration from the south to Milan and to the factories, Turin, the automobile factories and other factories in the north. This huge immigration from southern Italy, not just to out of the country, but now that the door is shut to these other countries, now just to go north to find work. So, yeah, Italians were very aware that there was this great opportunity when they came to America. And of course, too, on top of it all, we tend to forget this, is that in most of Europe there is this concept of having a place, that you assume a level in society that you were born into, that if you're that there are people that are above you because they have titles and ranks, and whether it's a duke or a king or a landowner or whatever, there's all this sense of genuflecting to someone else who outranks you. And the idea that you would come to America and you would be equal to other people, This was a really a wonderful thing for Italians coming to America, that they realized that they didn't have to defer to other people, that they could, their opinion was as valuable as the next person's, and their children could be anything they chose to be, that there were no limits in America. I didn't say you were going to make it or be rich, but the fact that there was the potential, there was the dream that you could do this, was a very important part of coming to the United States.